So let's ask a really fundamental question. What kind of person does God actually love? You know, the Quran gives us this incredibly clear guidance, not just on what to do, but on who to be. And one of the best ways to figure that out is to explore the behaviors God dislikes. It's like a roadmap in reverse to building a better character. Let's dive in.
This is really the big question we're tackling. And it's not about just memorizing a list of rules. It's about getting to the why behind them. Think of it like reverse engineering a virtuous life. By really looking at the warnings, we get a much clearer map of our destination.
Okay, so our first section gets right to the heart of how we interact with the world and with each other. It's all about respecting limits and the absolute non-negotiable necessity of justice. And these aren't just some abstract ideas, they're literally the foundation of a healthy society, and honestly, a healthy soul.
So the first term we really need to understand is al-Mu'tadin, which translates to the transgressors. Now, this is so much more than just breaking a rule. Imagine a beautiful garden with these clearly marked paths. Transgression is deliberately stomping all over the flower beds, completely ignoring the boundaries that were put there for a reason, for the good of the whole garden and everyone in it. And the Quran's response to this is just incredibly direct. This isn't some one-off comment either. This phrase, or something very similar, shows up again and again. It's like this recurring bold-letter warning. If you choose to cross these lines, you are actively walking away from divine love.
Now, very closely related to crossing boundaries is al-Zalimin, the unjust. This comes from the word zulm, which is such a powerful concept. It isn't just about oppressing somebody else or violating their rights, and this is crucial. It also means being unjust to yourself by knowingly choosing a path that you know is going to harm your own soul.
And again, look at that. The message from the Quran is crystal clear. Just like transgression, injustice acts like a wall. It just blocks that connection with God. It's a direct violation of the balance and fairness that are so central to the entire faith. And the consequences are taken so incredibly seriously. I mean, just listen to the saying from the Prophet Muhammad. It's such a powerful illustration. It tells us that the prayer of someone who has been oppressed has a direct, unfiltered line to God. There's no barrier, no static on the line. This just underscores the immense gravity of violating another person's rights.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. We're moving from our external actions to our internal states of being. We're going to explore the sins that really stem from an unchecked ego.
First up is the Muqtal Fakhur. This isn't just about being proud of something you did. No, this term describes someone who is arrogant, boastful, and, well, ultimately self-deluded. It's that person who looks at their money, their talent, or their success and truly believes it's all their own doing, completely forgetting where those gifts actually came from. And you know, the Quran gives us the perfect example of this mindset in the story of Qarun. This was a man of unbelievable wealth back in the time of Moses. And when people advised him to just be grateful, his response was pure arrogance. He said, "I got all this because of my own unique knowledge, my own genius," totally writing God out of the equation.
And that right there, that's the crucial point. His boast wasn't just empty words, it was his entire worldview. It was a complete rejection of humility and gratitude. This belief that he was entirely self-made and owed nothing to a higher power is what ultimately sealed his fate.
And the consequence, as described in the Quran, wow, it is truly terrifying. The verse describes his end with such chilling clarity. The very earth that he strutted on so arrogantly was commanded to just swallow him and his home, whole. It's such a stark, unforgettable reminder that true power belongs to God alone, and arrogance is the fastest path to self-destruction.
Another sin born from the ego is extravagance, and this is captured in the term al-Musrifin. This refers to people who are wasteful, those who live a life of excess and just constantly cross that line of moderation. Whether it's with money or food or any other resource, this act of israf is seen as a kind of deep ingratitude for the blessings they've been given.
So the Quran presents this really stark choice. On one side, you have extravagance, a trait so reckless and ungrateful it's literally associated with being brothers of the devils. But on the other side, you have moderation, a balanced, thoughtful middle path. And this is presented as the defining trait of the true servants of the Most Merciful. So it's not just a choice between two actions, right? It's a choice between two completely different identities.
Okay, for our final section, let's turn to behaviors that don't just affect the individual, but actively harm the entire community, the ones that erode trust and spread decay from the inside out.
And in this category, we find these three key figures who really act as agents of decay. You've got the treacherous sinner, who betrays trust, the corrupter, who actively works to create chaos,
And then those who normalize evil by promoting it out in the open. So what's the common thread here? Well, all of these actions are a direct attack on the very foundations of a healthy society. I mean, think about it. Trust, integrity, a basic sense of decency. That's the glue holding a community together. When people actively work to undermine those things, the whole structure just starts to fall apart.
And just as we've seen before, the Quranic verdict is firm and absolute. The mufsideen, those who spread fasad or corruption, are explicitly on the list of those not loved by God. And this isn't just about financial corruption. This applies to all forms: social, moral, even environmental corruption. To really understand just how gravely God views corruption, let's just focus on a single number. Just one. The value of one single life.
This powerful principle from the Quran shows us where corruption ultimately leads, to a society where life itself is devalued. The verse actually equates the unjust taking of a single soul with the destruction of all of humanity. That's how sacred one life is, and it's the ultimate condemnation of any corrupt system that leads to its loss.
So, after looking at all these warnings, where do we go from here? Well, the beautiful thing about this guidance is that every single don't has a corresponding do. Every warning is secretly a signpost pointing us toward a virtue. So let's flip the script and turn these negatives into a positive plan of action.
And suddenly, the path forward becomes incredibly clear, right? Instead of transgressing limits, we become champions of justice. We replace arrogance with active, conscious humility. We trade extravagance for mindful moderation. We choose to be trustworthy instead of treacherous. And instead of causing decay, we commit to being a force for healing and good in the world. And that brings us to the final takeaway. Our character isn't some fixed destination. It's a construction project. It's something we build, one choice, one action, one day at a time. So the real question this leaves us with is, which of these virtues will you choose as the first building block for your character starting today?